Ready?
We're ready.
Okay, we're ready.
Ready? Ready.
Ready? Okay.
Ready.
Imagine this.
Ready.
You've moved to a completely new country alone. You're excited and feeling a bit adventurous, but you slowly start to realize that you have no idea what you're doing. You don't recognize the people, you don't understand the language, and you also don't understand the signs. You're doing your best to stay afloat, but day by day you start to realize that you're actually drowning. This is how young adults, including myself, are beginning to feel as we approach what I like to call the real world. Good evening, and thank you for coming tonight. My name is Catherine McCombs. I'm a student studying at Brigham Young University in Idaho, and I'm a communications major with an emphasis in public relations. As I approach graduation, which many people my age are, I have noticed that after almost 18 years of schooling, I don't feel completely prepared to take on the real world. Now let me explain. I know that a squared plus b squared equals c squared. I know that the Declaration of Independence was signed in 1776. I also know where to correctly place a comma in a sentence. However, I don't know how to pay taxes. I have no idea how to buy a car, and I don't even know where to start or begin looking for good healthcare coverage. I would love to focus on how schools and parents should be implementing mandatory classes that prepare students and young adults for real-world responsibilities. Now, the real world is something that you cannot escape. It tends to creep up on you in your early 20s and catches you off guard. At least that's what it did for me. As I mentioned before, I've completed nearly 18 years of school. I have taken all the necessary classes to graduate high school, and as I've been attending university, I've been doing very well. However, the knowledge that I've gained doesn't make me feel very confident in the skills that I have going into the real world. Please don't mistake what I am saying for me being against general education. I think that American history, math, science, and English are all very important subjects. However, knowing that Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492 won't necessarily help me find good healthcare coverage. The Quad, an online news article, came up with 15 subjects that they believe should be mandatory for all students to take in order to graduate. These subjects include credit, insurance, home and automobile coverage, and so on. All of these subjects focus on real-life responsibilities and situations that as young adults and students, we should feel very confident in facing by the time we graduate. Or at least that's the hope. Now, taking the focus away from school, what are we doing in the home to prepare? Everydayhealth.com suggests parents start as early as possible. Every child should be taught about these real-world responsibilities. Millennials have proven to be running away from what we call adulting. I believe that we run because we don't know how to handle it. We don't know what to do, and it intimidates us, so we run away. To put this into perspective, let me share with you a brief excerpt from an article I found on Newsweek.com. Since the greatest generation, Grandpa, that's you, you're the greatest generation.
Yeah, Grandpa.
Adults have become less and less adult. Our grandparents had to grow up during the Great Depression and World War II. They learned to adult long before they were actually adults. Men and women both entered the workforce far younger generations ago. So while today's millennials are better educated than their grandparents, they're also experiencing real life later. The news article then goes on to talk directly to parents. They say, we've become far more focused on the self-esteem of our children, which means never forcing them to take difficult steps in life. We're more likely to let our kids sit on the couch than tell them to get a job and pay rent. We don't push our kids to build families of their own. As life expectancy has increased, so has adolescence. Americans aren't expected to start building a life, particularly middle and upper class Americans, until they're nearing their 30s. So what's the solution? Thrusting responsibility on young people. That's the solution. Please don't interpret this as a parent that you're the reason we don't know what to do. But also realize that by not pushing us, you're not helping us. Now let's get into these hopefully one-day mandatory subjects. TaxPolicyCenter.com states, the Tax Policy Center has updated its estimate of the percentage of Americans who pay no federal individual income taxes, and the number is 44% in the year 2018. Did you know that not paying your taxes can end in jail time? Better yet, did you know how to pay your taxes in the first place? The New York Post put out a survey focusing on millennials and how much they know about tax season. The final report is as follows. 7 in 10 millennials are worried they'll file their taxes incorrectly, which makes sense given that only 1 in 4 are very confident they'd be able to file their taxes without any errors. 70% of young adults don't know how to file their taxes correctly, which could one day end in jail time. But how are we supposed to know this? Who taught us this? I wasn't taught this in high school. How about credit? Credit cards seem to be a little plastic slice of freedom. You hear it all the time. Just put it on the card. But where does the money go? What happens to that charge? Isn't there something I'm supposed to know about a credit score? CNBC.com states, millennials between the ages of 25 and 34 have an average of $42,000 in debt each. The biggest source comes from credit card debt. This debt can affect what seems to be the very important credit score. In the interest of time, I won't go further into the definition, but I would like to focus on the topic at hand. There are so many topics that need to be covered and so many responsibilities in life that students and young adults don't understand. So many of these subjects, when not taught correctly, never learned, or taken advantage of, can end in serious problems. I can't be the only student that feels unprepared to take on the real world. We should be more confident as individuals in our ability to live day by day, living independently. Every student should feel completely comfortable paying bills, doing their taxes, and doing so alone without the fear that they don't understand the information. Hopefully by the time they graduate. These are real-life responsibilities, and they are extremely important. I hope desperately that we can change this and start implementing classes that are more focused on daily living and understanding of the real world rather than avoiding it and hoping for the best when we have to overcome them. Thank you.